Hello friends, welcome to my channel SushantChessWise. Today we are going to see another reason where we can catch much stronger opponents, and that is about our endgame preparation. So I have got two positions, one where I will try to explain you what is the theory and how practically this position is handled. As you can see the position in front of you, it is rook and 2 pawns versus rook and 3 pawns. A very classic case. This position can be very easily drawn by white, since especially you can see this f pawn has been moved. If this pawn would have been on f7, then black would have played kg7 and he had some better tries. But of course, white will place this rook on a6 and stop black king's entry to f6. That also is a drawn position. First, let me show you this case and then we will see what it is related to my student's game. So white went here with the move rook a7. Very simple, we restrict the black king from advancing, and the extra pawn and the rook cannot outpower our king. That's the very simple thing. So black advances his pawns, he goes h6, we just wait. See, we will play kg2, g5, kf2, and now see black doesn't have much. There are three options. I'll try to show you. If he plays f4, then pawn takes, pawn takes. Here kg2 can also draw, just rook a4, very simple. Rook h3, rook f4, kg7, kg2, drive the rook away and place the rook on the 5th rank. So what will happen? The black king will never come to the 5th rank, and in the absence of the help of the king, the game is very easily drawn. So kg6, rook a5. Second option would have been the move h5, but here to see the black king is really cut off. Okay, so white comes with his rook now. He attacks the f5 and the g5 pawns. Also see, rook c7 is a easy way to hold. And now see, one pawn will be lost no matter what. Maybe g4 takes, and rook f5. Finally, black can try rook b5, much better attempt. First protect the f pawn and then advance. So white waits, king f3, h5, rook c7. And now see, g4 check he will try to use now or later. So rook check first, king g2, g4, pawn takes, trying to drive our king down, but just king f2. Main trouble is that the black king is not able to come. So the draw is very easy here. Black tries rook b2 check or rook f3 check. So rook b2 is the main try. Rook f3, kg2, rook b3, kf2. Same position comes once again and he tries rook b2, ke3, rook check, kf4, rook check. It looks as if the second pawn will be gone, but see the technique. kg5, rook g3. Here too, king f5 also draws, just kg6 somewhat stronger. Now see, if king h8 then mate, it's a mating net. So king has to go to f8. Now see, rook check, king moves, rook takes f5. And see, I purposely chose this line to show you, see, there is no danger yet, just king g5 and the king will keep on attacking the g pawn. So ke7, rook f4, rook moves, kg5, g3, kg4, g2, kg3. All we have to do is keep the g pawn attacked, and now see, after rook f1 only move for the rook, just rook check, king moves, kg2, and the game is drawn. So my student had a very similar position to this. That is why I took this example. Let us go to that position and see how I helped him to draw against a very strong 2617 player who was an actual IM. Okay, so let's get to that position now. See, this was our position here. It was our move, and see, only thing is that there are added pawns on the queen side. But knowing the basic skeleton position helped us get into that. See, rook a5, rook c2, rook b5, b2. Here, of course, black has better try. Whenever there are pawns on both sides, it becomes bit complex. But knowing the basic theory helped me a lot. So just rook b7, see, same idea. And now see, black will advance his pawns. This time the only catch is rook cannot see easily attack these pawns because b pawn is a threat. So white will have to use his a pawn as a decoy to drive this rook ultimately over there. So see, h3, first white moves his pawns on the king side, h5, g3. Now nothing is hanging here. If rook check, king f2, rook check, kf3, black tried all this, and now king f8. He tries to wait and is showing that he wants to get his king closer by e8, d8 this way and attack our rook. So a5, we have to push that pawn and try to threaten him as well. So rook c3 check, kf2, again rook check, kf3, and he had to repeat here rook c3 check. If rook h2 here trying to attack h3 and all, nothing much is happening, just a6. He can't take rook h3. There are two problems. One is just c a7 and other is c kg2. Strange way to trap the black rook, and it is losing for black. So rook check, king f2, and now ultimately the a and the b pawns will get traded. Rook a3, rook b2, rook a5. And now the same position like the one we discussed just now, I played rook b7. So see, knowing that basic position helped me to secure the draw very easily. Now the game just proceeded like the previous one, rook a2 check. If k e8, then just rook h5 and check, 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 and we take the f pawn. See, this is like the game only, rook f2 check, kg5, rook f3, rook g7. Many moves are there to draw here, rook g3, kf5, and you see that the g pawn will be taken next move. So opponent played rook a2 check, kf3, pawn check, takes, takes, king f4. The only difference, if you must have noted, this and our studied position is the black king placing. So see rook f2 check, kg5. There the black king was on g8. So see rook f3, and this time we had another move, that is rook p5, because f pawn will be taken with a check. There also we could have done this, by the way. Now rook g3, if f4, then also see we can just take kg4. Rook g3 is met by rook f5 check, ke7, rook f4, kd6, rook g4, and the game ended in a draw after the trade of rooks. So very easily we could draw the game against a very, very higher rated player. So the two factors which I am trying to show, one is deep opening preparation, like you must be catching up my lessons on Cole, London, where I am showing you exact opening preparation that helps us to improve our game. And second is advanced endgame preparation, the study of practical rook endgames, which can help us a lot to improve quickly. So I hope you are finding these lessons useful and instructive. Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for your time.